Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. This is a very special...
That sounded weird, like you cut out.
Yep.
Like, the call cut out?
We're not just fucking with you, like, it just...
I understand.
Stuttered.
It's not cutting out in Audacity, though, so... Should be fine, right?
I wish you hadn't said fucking, DJ. I wanted to make a bit out of this. I was going to derail him a third time.
Neat.
Well, since you got derailed twice, why not?
Yeah, of course.
But, no, we can't have a fun start.
Why does me dropping the F-bomb matter? You're not on your little no F-bombs allowed stage.
Well, funny story. I did say the F-bomb.
Yeah, I noticed. How did that go over?
We didn't get in trouble.
Wait. Okay, so you went to, just so everyone knows, you went to a comedy show in which it looked like a pretty big deal. I saw a picture. And the only rule was that you couldn't curse.
Well, no, they said PG-13, but they
so you're allowed
specifically said... Yeah, they specifically said no F word. In a PG-13 movie, you get one, and it's always really jarring in a PG-13 movie.
Right.
You know? It's Rachel A. Cook. Am I a fucking bat? And Freddie Prinze Jr.'s like, whoa, you said the F word? Nobody at this high school swears. So...
Of course, your movie reference is like a 30-year-old movie.
It's not a 30-year-old movie. It's
Dude, you're talking about Can't Hardly... Wait, what is that? Can't Hardly Wait or something?
No, She's All That. Can't Hardly Wait.
She's All That.
I don't
that
even
is
know
way more than 20 years old.
That was Seth Green.
I don't know what either of those movies are.
Seth Green was in that with Lauren Ambrose.
Basically, I mean, She's All That is like the movie that all the teen parody movies base their movie off of.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like the most ridiculous
None other teen movie was
concepted.
like the last good movie out of that batch. Before they started becoming really terrible, like Meet the Spartans or whatever, but like not another teen movie was perfect.
Well, that's because that wasn't from the same... Like Meet the Spartans or whatever you're talking about, that was from the like scary movie people. Not... Like, it's a different group, right?
I don't actually know. I should know. I'll look that up.
I mean, that's what I thought anyways. Maybe not. Who cares? Anyways, welcome to Brainstorm Brewery, everybody.
So you didn't... I didn't tell my story. So yeah, I think what they do is they have that like clause where you can't say the F word if they want to like not pay you if you have a bad show.
Right. Oh, I see. So
but like the only person that was there was like a DJ and then there was like the host that I guess is the guy that like runs the events.
And that was the entire audience? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh. I posted pics on Twitter. We filled that place, man. And it was a bunch of bored-looking...
Yeah, I'm being honest. It legitimately looked kind of impressive. I was very happy for you.
It's a casino gig. It's free. So everyone at the casino that needs something to do for an hour and a half is like, I might as well go over there for free. And, yeah, we put on a really good show, and that's probably why we didn't get in trouble. But I took out all the F words that are, like, parts of jokes.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll just do that permanently and rewrite them, because, like, if the joke doesn't work without the F word, then it's probably not a good enough joke.
I mean, do you subscribe to that theory of comedy? Because I can see it both ways, right? Like, it's more impressive if you can be funny without being vulgar, but...
Sometimes the punch really helps. I'll take all the help
agree.
I can get. So, so I just kind of set it as, like, a transition, you know...
Sure.
And I wasn't even, it just like slipped out. So like I made a conscious effort not to include it as part of my jokes, but I didn't make a conscious effort not to include it as part of my speech because I use that word as punctuation. So like it wasn't used as a period, but it was definitely used as a comma. So.
Well, it sounds like you had a better weekend than DJ and I did in Tampa Bay. That's for sure.
I had a great weekend.
Did you? Because you were miserable when I saw you on whenever. Saturday, Sunday.
I mean, I was tired, but I wasn't, like... It was still a great weekend for us. We had a very, very good show. Magic is still dead, according to everybody, but we had just a very, very, very good show. We were busy all weekend. My flights back were kind of miserable just because I was un-American. But, I mean, that's the only...
Tell me about it.
That's the only real complaint I have for the entire weekend. I was tired, but I wasn't just miserable.
I didn't
get to go rock climbing. That was the other thing.
Oh, wow. Because they were closed. What a tragedy. I feel so bad for you.
So instead I went to the Florida Aquarium, and I went dolphin watching on a boat, and then I hung out with some penguins.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
All in the aquarium? Is that
it's like a tour thing. You pay your general admission fee, and then you buy like a ticket. It's $30. And then they take you out into the bay, and then
because they don't know what the word aquarium means.
Yeah, I know, right?
No. It's like the aquarium is like on the edge of the bay, so then they have a separate little like thing at the back of the aquarium where they take you out on a boat into the bay, and then you go dolphin watching for like an hour and a half.
That sounds kind of fun, actually. I should have done that on Friday when I got in instead of doing nothing. I'm sure you all can hear my son in the background. Ben, do you want to say hi? No? That's all I had to do to get you to be
You should have taken him to Florida, Corbin.
I know, right? No, I can't handle Florida. The weather is just miserable.
It is.
I got a buddy who lives in Tampa, and he loves it, but he doesn't like the weather. He likes Tampa.
Yeah,
I mean, Tampa seemed fine.
There's lots of women in bikinis, and their hockey team's good, but yeah, the weather sucks.
Typically, those things don't go together.
You wouldn't think so,
if you were to pick two things that just don't go together, those are two things that would be near the top of my list.
Yeah, the Panthers made the playoffs last year. The Coyotes look like they might do it. The Stars look like they might do it. I don't understand all these hot weather climate with like the ice is terrible and they have to go out the fire extinguisher between periods and ice the ice back down.
Does Mike Modano still play for the Stars?
Yeah, he does because it's 2006.
Okay, good. That's my period, man.
Mike Modano,
late 90s, early 2000s.
He retired in like 07 and then said, "Just kidding. I know I said it was cool that I played my entire career with one franchise, but I'm going to play for the Red Wings for 1 year, like a Brett Favre."
Did he win a championship?
He did not.
Well, that's why you do something like that.
Yeah. Well, he's from the Detroit area, so he grew up.
Oh, that's fine.
Anytime a player grows up with a hockey team's bed sheets and they can prove that with a picture, like they don't get as hard a time unless they're Jonathan Tavares and then he gets booed in New York. But what are you gonna do?
Well, I had a pretty enjoyable experience on the way back. I sat on an airplane for 3.5 hours coming out of Tampa. And I kid you not, this is how it ended. It ended with the pilot coming over the intercom and going, "Well, everybody, looks like it's just a scratch, so we're going to polish it out and be on our way shortly. Sorry that we sat here for 3 hours and you all missed your connections." So that to me, that was the perfect fitting end to my entire experience in Tampa.
But it wasn't Americans' fault, right?
That's definitely Americans' fault.
We're just saying that because you continue to fly American like an Alzheimer's patient.
Look, we're not gonna have this argument on the podcast, but I wish things were as easy as that.
I just ran into the wing, honey. I just ran into the wing.
That wasn't fair what I said because Alzheimer's patients get abused less than you do by American. Dateline does an expose where they go into a nursing home. They're like, these people are being mistreated almost as much as people who fly on a shitty airline. But not quite. No one. These Alzheimer's patients didn't have to tell their grandson they weren't going to Disney World.
Yeah, I won't lie. It's frustrating, but I've had frustrating experiences on every airline. Good news is I at least keep breaking in the vouchers. Anybody want to go to Europe?
With you? So we can eat Buffalo Wild Wings in Rome? No thanks.
And beg in the street in some fucking rural part of France.
I don't think they have a Buffalo Wild Wings in Rome.
I don't want to hear you like very slowly in Italian, like to an Italian person, like, where is the original Sbarro's? Che cosa?
I actually got really tired of pizza after a week and a half in Italy. To be fair, I don't know how people can eat it all the time.
They say the same about you and your fucking chicken wing.
I understand. Yeah. That's true. That's a fair point. But everything in Italy was just margarita pizza. Every single restaurant. And it's like, what if you want Mexican food?
Then you go to Poland.
You
go to Poland.
Yeah.
Callback? No? Nobody?
Callback. That was a solid callback. I was wondering if we were going to point it out as a callback or leave it there as a little nugget for the people who got it.
Only you would go to Italy and be like, but what if I want Mexican food?
Dang, they ain't got no Taco Bell. I wanted to bodge a blast.
Oh, they probably definitely have Taco Bell in Rome. I'm almost certain of it. I got McDonald's.
You know what they have in Rome? They have these sandwiches
if you fold
that
your
cost
pizza
like $11.
in half, it's almost like a taco.
This giant taco tastes like Italy. No, they have these sandwiches that are on these street carts, and there's like every kind of meat on there, plus like a cut up hot dog. And I ate that because.
And a hot dog's already every kind of meat, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
They were amazing, but they were huge.
That's always where you find the best food, is where you think you're going to get murdered.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's not really been my experience.
How?
The sketchier
you
the
go to
neighborhood,
beat ups,
the better
that's
the
where you
ribs
get...
are. For sure.
Anyways, let's talk a little bit of Magic. Last week
everyone's already turned off the podcast. We don't have to.
This was fast. This was a fast. We're getting into Magic like 8 minutes in. That's actually pretty good. Last weekend was Modern. Is it Phoenix dominated? Yet again. I wrote a really long thread on Twitter about it because I got tired of people not understanding the deck. So I would recommend that if anyone wants to know how to beat it. The TLDR is the deck is extremely good because it's extremely flexible, and I'm honestly worried about the Mythic Championship being a bunch of Is It Phoenix players next month. So if you're in Modern, if you're playing Modern, and you're on Phoenix, I would be concerned about the future of your deck one way or another. But who knows? We talked about this a lot. You know, people are on about Faithless Looting right now, and that's fine, and I actually agree with them to an extent. But at the same time, the Mythic Championship's going to happen, and at this point, you're not changing anything before then. And even if the deck comes out of that dominant, well, then you're still going to be kind of iffy on whether or not you want to change anything after that, because at that point, Modern Horizons will be right around the corner. So there's actually, the only good time they had to make a change to Modern, I think, was in January or February, whenever the last announcement was. Might have even been 2 weeks ago. I don't remember.
It was like a week ago.
Yeah,
because they had the conversation about Nexus of Fate.
Yeah. You're right. So, anyways, I don't think there's going to be any changes to the format for a while now. So if you are playing the deck, I'd be concerned about its future long term, but in the short term, I think you're perfectly fine to play it. Yeah, and it's extremely good. It was over 20% of the field in Bilbao on day 2. It was a very high percentage at the SCG event. It was just under 20% on day 2 in Tampa, and that's just Is It Phoenix. And for reference, the next highest deck, at least with the last tournament I looked at, was Dredge, another Faithless Looting deck, at like 6% or 7%.
If it's so much of the meta, how come I played 5 rounds of Modern and played it 0 times?
Well, even if it's...
Because that's a lie. You didn't play Magic.
I did.
I don't know, man.
I played but actually, I lost my winning into ad nauseum, which I was not expecting. I was like, all right, I got 7 sideboards for the Phoenix deck. Let's do this.
What were you playing?
Oh, I was playing the new Experimental Frenzy version of Affinity. Nice. Instead of Hardened Scales, you're running Frenzy, and it's dumb. You just turn into a deck. Well, you lay a Frenzy, and then usually you can just rip like 6 cards off the top, and then just get them with Ravager. It's really brutal.
Yeah, I really like that deck. I think it's a really cool, variation of Affinity. It feels a lot better playing against that card in Modern than it does playing against it in Standard out of the mono red deck where they top deck 6 shocks in a row. Yeah, I said it. Anyway, so that's pretty sweet. I can't believe you got out and played Magic, though. What possibly led to this?
Peer pressure. Plus, my wife told me that she didn't want me around. She's like, go do something. I was like, oh. If we do something, I have to go play Modern. And I almost top 8. And I was like, oh, I hope I don't top 8. I don't want to be here another 3 hours. And then everyone was like, what's wrong with you?
Right.
Yeah, well, turns out I don't want to play 8 rounds of Magic on a Saturday when I got to get up early Sunday. So I'm glad I went. Perfect Storm in Battle Creek, Michigan's a great place to play. And if you're local-ish and don't mind driving a few hours, they have Vintage a lot, like Proxy Vintage, and they could always use more players. So if you've never played Vintage, go, it's like $5 or $10, and you get to use all proxies if you want, and you get to play with really good vintage players. So I would recommend that. Yeah,
I mean, on that note, my store, if anyone is listening who's local or Dallas or whatever, Storm Brew Games in Edmond, we have this weekend that you're listening to this podcast a proxy vintage tournament at noon on Saturday, and then an Eternal Weekend vintage event at noon on Sunday. So I'm really interested to see if we can actually have vintage in Oklahoma. It's going to be an experiment.
Non-sanctioned proxy vintage. Mm-hmm. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll probably have 20 people for that one.
Because it's never going to replace the value of reserve list cards with their collectability and their playability. And there are... all the serious tournaments are non-proxy, but like to learn the format, just go out and play. Have some fun.
And vintage is also like $8 on Magic Online, so...
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, I mean, so what we're doing is also, doing on the non-proxy event on Sunday for the Eternal Weekend Qualifier, we have some pretty sweet prizes. We're giving out, throughout the entire weekend, we're giving out a box of Ravnica Allegiance Mythic Edition as giveaways. So it's going to be pretty fun. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. There's just so few actual cards, Power 9 in Oklahoma. It's so hard for people to play vintage even if they want to.
Well, I mean...
Did they figure out that the internet exists?
I mean, yeah, man, but that's just like... and this actually just shocks me about Magic players in general. The number of people who want to buy local, not because they... I mean, of course there's some amount of this, right? And I definitely support this in anyone who buys local to support the LGS. But there are so many people...
Oh my god, keep a roof over your head. You can't play Magic at Amazon.com.
Right, exactly. But there's also a ton of people who just don't trust buying cards online or whatever, and not even they're like, I'm going to get counterfeited, or they just don't spend money online. It's just not how they interact with the world. And it's really fascinating. Like, I've watched people go weeks without a card that they could order for $2 on TCG Player.
And they're have it in 3 days.
I get it. Like,
I'm like, well, no. And that's not support. Like, that. Sometimes I just tell people, I can't get that for you or whatever, right? Like, you want some common from some set I'm never going to find. I can't do that, man. Just order it on TCG Player. And then they just don't. It's
No, like, I get it. I drive by furniture stores and I'm like, wait, why does that exist? Oh, because baby boomers haven't died yet. I get it. Like,
I'm not going to order furniture through the mail. What's that cost? $400. Great. Let me write you a check for $400. Oh no, it's $193 shipping.
Did you? I told the story of my last online furniture purchase, right?
Was it your chair?
Yeah, no. Our bed from Overstock that came with 5 of the 6 boxes needed to complete the bed. And then when we asked where the 6th box was, it turns out the 6th box never got produced. So literally anyone who bought this bed, this like $800 bed, whatever, from Overstock, all got refunds. Because there was just an error on their end and they just couldn't fulfill the orders.
But you got to keep the bed, right?
So we got to keep 5 of the 6 boxes, and the box missing was like the drawers or something that also helped prop up the middle of the bed. So we just propped the bed up ourselves, and we just don't have drawers, but we got a free bed.
You walking around with no drawers?
It was sweet value for me, but I think that's a legitimate reason if you really want a bed to maybe go buy one in person.
I'm still of the opinion that every mattress store is a money laundering front.
I mean, maybe.
Good one.
What?
I don't know how to respond to that. It's like,
I didn't want to say nothing, but I didn't want to acknowledge.
And you're wrong. The real answer is Greek restaurants. You can't charge $2.99 for a breakfast and turn a profit. How are you still open? There's no one in here but me. Greek restaurants, everybody.
I don't think I've ever been to a Greek restaurant.
I'm going to get the Greeks and the Polish pissed off at me this week. It's good.
Well, I mean, you did basically just call
and the Italians. How dare you say we put a hot dogs in our food?
Well, I'm sure we'll have all 4 of our Italian fans telling me about how you can get super awesome Mexican food if you really want it or something in Italy, and I just didn't know any better.
Yeah, man. If you're such a fan, why don't you go visit Corbin when he was in town, huh?
Let's move on. Let's talk about.
Why didn't you take him out for a bowl of carbs?
No, let's get out of here. Let's talk Magic.
Weren't we just?
Well, yeah, we were. So let's do
break
breaking
some bulk,
though.
fellas.
I've got a sweet breaking bulk / pick of the week here.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, breaking bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
So I've been hardcore buy listing over the past couple weeks. I've been shipping off some pretty big orders to Card Kingdom, which I love doing, by the process of picking and buy listing. I hate the sorting and shipping part of it. I like the getting paid part, but I really enjoy just, I think this card might be worth something. I'm going to look it up. Because you just get eyes on so many cards, and it gives you such a wide snapshot, I guess, of sort of what the market on different stuff looks like. So when I'm selling something that is, I don't super know the price of, or I think's been moving or whatever, before I decide to buy list it, I'll look it up on MTG Stocks and look at the history of it. And I have just a bunch of stuff that, hey, looks like this is about to move. So one of them is going to be my breaking bulk for the week. That is also a pick of the week. It's a Mirrodin rare, and it is red. It was bulk up until a year and a half, about 2 years ago.
Cosmic Larva?
Nope, it costs 3 mana. It's a sorcery.
Cosmic Larva costs 3 mana.
It's not a sorcery, though.
That's a good point.
Is it
one red, or
it's
two
the
red?
triple coin flip thing, right?
Nope, it is 2 generic and a red mana. It's a $7 foil and a $1...
Trash for treasure?
It is trash for treasure.
Nice.
Definitely see this one in the bulk quite a bit. But if you look at it, it's actually right at its all-time high and moving past it, right? It's got a nice little trend. So it's a card that, spoilers.
Well, that reprinted 5 years ago or something, right?
No,
like
it was
been a while.
It was in Commander 2016.
Oh, it was in Commander 2014.
Oh, was it both? Was it
MTG
in
Stocks
Doretti and
think
Brea?
Was it not in Doretti?
MTG Stocks doesn't think it was in Commander 2014.
Wow, why don't we go to a real site? I'm just kidding. I like MTG Stocks.
Yeah, I mean MTG Stocks. It has a list of every set. I don't know how it wouldn't have it. It says it was in Commander 2016.
It was not in Commander 20.
Yep.
Wow.
Because that was Scrap Mastery instead.
Right. It's Commander 2016 only, and that version is probably the one you really want. It's right at 50 cents. So, it's a breaking bulk, and maybe it's a questionable pick of the week, but it is just a very powerful card. It fits in a lot of things.
They'll do another artifact commander.
Exactly. They'll do another artifact commander.
Trash
They'll
for
do another
treasure.
artifact set.
Yeah, I use it in Xantia because I can get back my Mindslaver with it.
Yeah,
it's always going to be useful, but the problem is if they do another commander deck where it's really good, they might reprint it, or they might do Scrap Mastery. Who knows? So
right, that's the thing. If it wasn't into Ready, it's very reasonable that they'll just skip it again on the next one. Obviously,
it's definitely worth picking out a bulk because it's real solid.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to question it as a pick of the week, that's super reasonable. But it is just one of the cards that stood out to me over the past week, and I've shared a bunch of them in the Discord on the finance channel, and we've gotten a lot of good discussion going around that.
I wonder if breaking bulk even matters to our listeners, because I gotta imagine they look up almost every rare and almost every foil, because you'd be
you
dumb
think
not
so?
to.
I don't know. It's very inefficient to look up every single
but if you're
rare.
if you're doing 25,000 cards in an order, great. But if you're doing 500 cards in an order, why not look up your rares?
Yeah, I mean, let us know, everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, let us know if you like. I've never heard any.
We don't get enough
complaints
emails
about it. So
the people who go to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery and give us $10 a month, which is only $2.50 an episode, they can send us an email and say, "I'm a $10 patron," and we will read it on the cast, guaranteed. You won't end up in the From the Vault email section like Corbin likes to do.
You should still send emails if you're not a $10 patron, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We'll read them when we get to them, but we'll read the $10 ones as soon as we get them. So, honestly, you could be sending us more emails, because there's some things we hear in the Discord which you can access for giving us $1 a month, which is 25 cents an episode. And people are like, I wish you'd talk about this. I'm like, well, if you send us an email, we absolutely would. So, we're going to be doing some emails this week. Send us more. Because we know how many people are listening, and we should, we could handle some more emails. So, That's the Patreon
Yep.
pitch.
I've got a multicolored uncommon from Alara Reborn.
Mind Funeral.
A creature?
It is not a creature.
Captured
Mind
sunlight?
Funeral.
No. I'm surprised
The
you
other
guys
one?
aren't bitching at me
Mind Funeral.
Are you guys not going to complain about the stipulations that I gave?
Wait, is it not Mind Funeral?
No, it's not.
Oh, I don't know. What
No,
is
we're not gonna
multicolored in an entirely multicolored set?
He's saying
is that
that
what you're doing to us?
there's like 96 multicolored uncommons in that set. Yeah,
Yeah,
but like
But it is Gruul colors, and that kind of gives it away. But
Gruul colors.
Is it the hammer? No, that's hammer's green white. Gruul, an uncommon, you said?
Yep.
There's only is it Mage Slayer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the one.
Have we done Mage Slayer?
I thought we did. No, yeah, I thought we did. So I looked it up on both sheets, but we did not. So
hey, when he says the sheets, he means the spreadsheets that our $20 patrons and up have access to. $10. Oh,
wow!
For $10 a month, you have access to the spreadsheet, which we update the second we podcast, so you don't have to wait until Wednesday when you get the early access to the episode, or Friday when the poors get to hear the episode. It's good to, even without the justification, just seeing our picks on a spreadsheet a little bit early.
Well, instead of poors, maybe we should just say like less financially inclined.
People who are bad at incorporating our advice. Because if you listen to this podcast and you're poor, what are you doing with your life?
No, Jason. What you're talking about are people who are valuing very hard. And there's a time for value and there's a time for community. So I think that's if anyone's trying to really maximize the EV here.
Oh yeah, you probably
get what 10 people. You get your little cabal in on a Patreon account, or you something like that, so that you have access to a spreadsheet
for as little as 5 or 10 cents a month. You and 10 friends can timeshare a Patreon access.
See, now you're talking. That's the real value, man.
There's some Discord server where they just here's what they said.
I wonder if Herbalife gives a Patreon pitch, or if Herbalife has a Discord server.
Herbalife, for as little as $200 or $250 a week, you can go bankrupt with all this shit in your garage, and alienating all your friends, trying to get them in on multi-level marketing. You can walk around with a big obnoxious button that says, "I lost 25 pounds, ask me how." And then when someone says, "Hey, you lost weight, you're looking good," they're like, "Well, let me corner you for 35 minutes and talk about Herbalife," until that person fakes an emergency and just runs away. So they don't want to talk to you anymore. Fill your garage with boxes of shit you'll never sell. Drink disgusting shakes for every breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Marianne is inundated with those sort of things, as I imagine most 30-ish, women are, right? It's just a thing that seems to be the most common demographic for that. And she's gotten to the point where she's just not even nice to people anymore. She actually has a copy-paste message.
You need to cut those people
off.
We have a copy-paste message that just says, I do not support multi-level marketing. I'm sorry. Good luck.
No, we had this conversation where she just sends out this berating paragraph or two.
Yeah, man. People, I don't know, whatever. Good for them.
Speaking of Corbin's wife, keep sending Corbin shit. Good. No, keep sending Corbin shit, because we have a couple people in the Discord who are using Corbin's address to send him increasingly ridiculous items. And I believe Corbin was going to open one of those items on...
I was, but I want to do it with video. And I don't have video this week because I'm watching Ben.
Next week, then.
Next week it's happening. I haven't even looked. I took the envelope. Shout out to Q in the Discord server. I've got the envelope. He claims it was something sent to his work, and it's very weird. And he honestly seemed kind of nervous.
It's an envelope full of white powder. I don't need this here.
Yeah, he seemed nervous about me opening it on the cast. So I am certainly intrigued to see what's inside. But that's a little teaser for next week.
Also, keep sending stuff to Corbin's address and make it send him things that would encourage his wife to get on the podcast, because that's supposed to happen.
Speaking of Corbin's wife, she's my pick of the week. To have her on the podcast.
She is a weekly winner, I would say. An annual winner, even.
What?
She's great. I was making it a financial thing, since Jason was, You know, she's like it's like when you have.
I thought you implied you had sex with her every week.
Yeah, that's what I was.
No, I'm married.
Yeah, 6 days a week. She's not a loser.
Anyways, Jason, did you do a breaking bulk?
I will do a breaking bulk.
All right,
I
let's
have
hear it.
What's that set? Zendikar something? The new Zendikar?
Battle for Zendikar?
Battle for Zendikar? Yeah, the one that looks like a cracked Easter egg, but it's pointy. I'm just making fun of Corbin doing Urza sets.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a black battle uncommon creature.
Wait, isn't a cracked Easter egg literally unhinged? Or unglued or whatever?
Unglued.
It's unglued,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is a pointy cracked Easter egg.
I understand now.
That was the
I
chicken
know exactly.
set.
I now know exactly what set you're talking about. Continue.
Battle for Zendikar, black uncommon creature.
Zulaport Cutthroat.
No. That's not breaking bulk. Everybody knows that one.
Isn't it a Hedron?
Is it a Hedron?
It's like
I'm not a
broken
Vorthos,
Hedron.
Yes,
dude.
Battle for Zendikar's set symbol is just a broken Hedron, or like...
Get out of here, Jason. Come on, that one's easy.
I've seen a woman naked. I don't know Vorthos.
Jeez. Wow.
Like I didn't lose my virginity after college. I'm not Vorthos.
All right, man. I'm not going to touch any of that.
With that kind of resume isn't what gets you to write flavor text, Jason.
Yeah.
They had your name on the list up until Gavin was listening to this episode. He's like, well, guess he doesn't fucking want it then.
No,
I
Gavin
keep sending
doesn't
him
curse.
like, hey,
don't you dare say that.
Hey, you stupid idiot nerds with your stupid Vorthos bullshit. Here's some flavor text or whatever. Please use it. Why won't they call me back? Yeah, no, I lash out at Vorthos every time I don't know something I should know as a Magic player who's been playing since 1995. There, are you happy?
Yeah, good enough, Jason.
You dragged that out of me. Are you happy? You feel like a big man? Making me admit my weakness. Does it make you feel big to make me feel small, Corbin?
It doesn't go there, Benjamin.
Oh.
We're oh no. We're trying to podcast. We're trying to podcast with my son around, and
it doesn't go there. Oh no.
He's just pouring water on the computer.
I have a daughter, so it doesn't go there. Oh no, has
Ben, that's
a whole...
not all right. We're throwing it away, kiddo.
Oh man, good times.
Come here, buddy.
See,
We're
I made
podcasting, and I
arrangements to
walk
have,
into my bedroom, and he's thrown all the laundry off the bed, and he's halfway dangling, trying to climb up on the kitchen sink. Come on, kid.
I made arrangements to have my daughter taken care of while I'm podcasting.
Taken care of, you said.
I'm a professional. Yeah. So, some of us have a different approach to parenting. Yeah, taking care, not taking care of, and then take her out in the woods and shoot her in the head.
See if she can swim.
I mean, that was. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what they said in like Of Mice and Men, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna go take care of you. You know? Come on.
Are we gonna get pancakes, Daddy?
DJ's probably
yeah,
never
Lily.
seen that movie either.
We're gonna get pancakes.
I had to read the book in high school.
Everybody had to read the book in high school.
Yeah.
I didn't.
What?
I don't know. I didn't.
It's weird. Black Battle for Zendikar creature. Uncommon.
Zulaport Cutthroat.
Were you not
still
listening?
not Zulaport Cutthroat. That's not even a good breaking bulk. Hey guys, hey, here's a $3 card. I bet a lot of people didn't know it was good. Even though the second they printed that, I'm like, hey, here's another Blood Artist.
Yeah, I mean, real talk though, is it actually up to $3?
It happened when Teza. It's up from what it was like 3 months ago because Teza.
Yeah, I thought it was like $1 now. I thought.
Speaking
that
of because of Teza, my breaking bulk pick. Oh my god.
Go on.
It's Carrier Thrall.
Oh.
It's like Pawn of Ulamog, but it's a 2-drop. It's a 2-drop 2/1, and when it dies, you get an Eldrazi Scion token. So if you get 2 of those tokens, you get mana.
Wow,
if
you actually
want to
then you
sack
have
them for mana.
ramp in a Tesa deck, which seems pretty good.
Well, because like man, they were talking about this on the EDH Recast, and Joey's like, I realized that 50% of my deck costs more than 4 mana. So I was like, you gotta cut those expensive cards as much as it hurts to cut your Butcher of Malakir and your, stuff like that. I had a lot of 6-drop creatures because they're all good. It's like, Wormcoil Engine. Obvious inclusion. So I had to cut my mana curve way down, but
I've been going through with that with some of my commander decks as well recently.
Yeah.
It's just the format has just become too efficient, maybe. Maybe it's just a playgroup thing, but or maybe it's just that there's more Magic cards now that you don't have to dirtle quite as much with 8-drops or whatever.
But I liked dirtling with that. Was the whole point of EDH was dirtling with 8-drops.
It still is, right? I mean, it still is. You just can't play.
You just play that 8-drop on turn 3. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, but even you have to build your deck in a responsible enough manner that if you are playing a bunch of 7 and 8-drops, at least you'll be able to play them by turn 3 or 4, or 4 or 5 or something, as opposed to I feel like the old school mentality on that is, hey, we're all going to play 8-drops and we're going to sit here for an hour until we all naturally make 8 land drops.
Yeah, but ramp, have a commander that helps you do that. If you're playing a bunch of 8-drops and Animar, more power to you. But Teysa does absolutely nothing to help you get to 8 mana, unless you're playing Carrier Thrall, because Carrier Thrall gets sacked to Ashnod's Altar for 2 mana, and then gives you 2 Eldrazi Scions.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So there you go.
Well, yeah, let's the next thing we want to talk about this week is the Challenger decks, the opposite of a fun format. Let's talk about Standard. No, Standard's actually pretty great right now.
I don't hate Standard right now.
Yeah, Standard's pretty good right now, to be honest, but it is still Standard. But that said,
this feels like the least solved Standard has ever been.
I mean, I don't know about ever, but I would say that probably is certainly true, say, over the past, I don't know, 5 years or something? 3 years? 4 years?
Shout out to...
obviously, pre-internet, Standard was better.
Well, RTR Innistrad Standard is probably the best Standard's been in 15. It's Innistrad, RTR, and then Time Spiral Ravnica are the two that get...
Right, Ravnica was the other one I was gonna mention.
This one's good, though.
Cool. So these Challenger decks, some of you are going to get your pants pulled down on reprints. They are doing high reprint equity. These are $30 decks that have $100 worth of cards in them. So obviously there's going to be equilibrium reached.
Which deck has $100 worth of money in it this time? I don't think there's a deck this year that's mono red was the obvious.
I don't know. There's 2 Jadelight Rangers, 2 Woodland Cemeteries, an Overgrown Tomb, Vraska in one of the decks. What's the other one?
I mean, even that altogether is maybe 25, I think.
So what are all the... Is it 100? I saw the number 100. Was that all 4 decks? $100 a minute? No, that doesn't make sense.
I mean, maybe they scraped the TCG mid of every card, but that's...
No, I mean, honestly, I haven't even looked at that yet. I was just... I mean... It's really nice if they're a good value to buy, but these are not a limited print run, correct? Or they're not, right? They're unlimited print run?
They're not an unlimited print run, but if there's the whole commander deck issue...
They can choose to print more, right?
Yes, there's also the whole commander deck issue.
But it seems like there will be one that's more popular
theoretically,
than the others,
if one deck is much more popular than the rest, then stores could theoretically get stuck with the rest of the decks. Like last year it was mono red, where the mono red deck...
This one's probably the one with the Arclight Phoenix, the 2 Niv Mizzets, the 4 Lava Coils, and the 3 Sulfur Falls in it.
Yeah, wow, that's the good one then.
Yeah, that's 20. I mean, that's a $25 card. That's a bunch of $3 to $5 cards there. It's a minimum. Of,
Sulfur Falls is
$9
Sulfur Falls is $8 or $9 by itself.
Yeah, Lava Coil is $3. It's got 4
that's what I was talking about. It's that deck. That value is insane. So these seem like a great deal for players, great deal for stores. If you already had some of those cards, I mean, it sucks if you lose some equity on it or whatever. But you're already playing Standard, so that was built in from the moment you chose to play Standard.
Well, yeah. I mean, Standard's a... Look, man, it's a pay-to-play
I'm sorry
format.
your Benalich Marshall rotated 6 months earlier than you wanted in terms of its price, but what were you going to do? Make 30 more cents on your playset of Benalich Marshalls?
Yep.
I was going to sell those for $250 in my store.
Well, yeah, or
$9 for a playset. Now I'm not.
I agree with that.
Well, that's the kind of card that you can still throw a $2 price tag on, though, and the elasticity of the customer doesn't change really much. They're just oh, it's fine.
Yeah. And that white deck, the white deck, in addition to having some decent value with 2 Legion's Landings, 2 History of Benalia, 4 Benalich Marshall, and even some stuff like Conclave Tribunal that like gets the value up. That deck is actually pretty tight. You know, you could buy that, and then you don't have to spend that much money on singles, making this capable of taking down an F&M. You got the 4 Bodyguard, the 4 Hawk, the 4 Vanguard, the 4 Sky Marcher, the 4 Vanguard, and the 4 Marshal. And that's that's an F&M list right there.
Yeah, I think I think there's a few financial takeaways here for people, you know, which is one, I mean, you should have like never been speccing or whatever on standard cards in the first place, but I think you have to be aware now that just holding standard staples is even more risky than it already was, because these challenger decks seem that they're going to become a staple, but more importantly, they figured out a schedule with them, or at least have been predicting standard well enough with the play design team that these decks are good. They're not random decks with 1 Verdant Catacombs thrown in or whatever the deal was.
Oh god, with those
back in the event decks back in the day or whatever, right? These are actual decks that are modeled after successful decks. That like
the white one is so good because they basically looked at LSV's Pro Tour Guilds deck. Right. So they made this product a long time ago, so it's like mostly
but
from
it's not that long
the
ago,
PT.
Right? Yeah, I mean that's 6 months ago. That's not even 6 months ago. It's like that was like November.
That was November 10th. It was November 10th. So yeah, they got these flipped over real quickly, so
That's
they didn't
crazy.
spend a lot of time working on them.
Yeah, so
to get these to the printer like in time to have them out now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so what that means is that there's no way this year's is going to flop based on what's there in there. It's just not. They're going to sell out they're going to sell.
And it
least,
seems
right?
like there's enough parity with all even like the mono red one isn't bad. You got 4 Chain Whirlers, a Rekindling Phoenix, a bunch of burn in there, and 2 Frenzies, and 2 Lava Coils.
And I'll also note that they seem to be following the trend of last year's decks, if I'm remembering properly. I don't think I could name a specific card, but I feel like one of the things we noticed about the decks last year is that the cards they went particularly heavy on reprinting are the cards that are going to rotate first. Is that... I believe that was the case then, because that's when they printed Hazoret and so on, right?
Yeah, Hazoret and Chandra were the 2 big ones.
Yes, exactly. And now they're printing, Arc-like Phoenix is the exception here, right? But they're printing History Benalia, and they're printing Sulphur Falls or whatever, right? Things like that.
So, I mean, those ones do
Jadelight Ranger, exactly.
History and Sulphur Falls do rotate.
That's what I'm saying. Like...
He's saying they're going heavier on the stuff that's going to rotate sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Arclight being the big exception here, but there's no way they could, not stack a deck full of Arc. They couldn't put 4 Arclights in a deck. But you also can't really, you have to give players something there. So I like them putting one in. But what I think the takeaway is that, your standard cards are less solvent than ever or less reliable than ever, even if you just want them to stay flat. So it's just something to keep in mind, but there's also, you can note that trend. And if you just kind of assume if you're a player, or you're running a trade binder, or you're trying to run a TCG player store, whatever, and you have standard stuff, I mean, kind of just sunset, like move rotation up 9 months. Like whenever you were going to start aggressively trying to get rid of this stuff, ship that up 6 months, and all of your Ixalan stuff should have gone after the PT, the guild's PT, that allows you to completely get ahead of these things if we think this sort of schedule is going to continue every year with this quality, which I do expect it to. The other thing is that they're going to keep making these, I think, and I like that they don't, one of the problems with putting a lot of value into sealed products is that they get hoarded and they get bought up by small groups of people, but I think they actually kind of neatly dodge that problem by focusing them on standard, and even more particularly rotating standard cards. No one is getting any value here by buying a case of these and sitting them in their garage for 3 years, right? So they are going to get into the hands of players one way or another.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of think it's telling that they didn't repeat their experiment with the $75 modern deck. As good as that deck was, and as much money as we made from it later on.
Right, exactly. There's just no way. Modern is you just can't make a reasonable approximation of a competitive deck. It's impossible to make an annualized product around that with the constraints price-wise.
Yeah, but Black-White Tokens was probably like the one deck that could have done it.
One of the few. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, like maybe like a Barl Storm deck though seems really cheap. Because you could be like, hey, there's a lot of reprint equity in here because we put 4 mana Morphos.
But you're gonna the goal is that you're trying to sell people a deck out of the box, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna sell them Storm.
What's wrong with that?
There are so many cards on the Modern ban list that are died for the sins of Grape Shot.
Yeah, have you heard of the Storm scale, Jason? It's a continuum on which 1 is the lowest rank, which means, hey, this is easy to get reprinted as a mechanic, blah, blah, blah. And the other end of it, which is, this is the most unhealthiest thing, is never going to get reprinted, we're never going to do this again, that would be Storm, which is why it's called the Storm scale. So, I don't think we're going to get Storm event decks.
For Modern.
Yeah, it's just not something, it's so clearly something that they consider unhealthy for the game. There's just no way that they would encourage players to play in it by putting them a starter Storm deck in a box.
Okay.
I understand where you're coming from with the price on the price.
No, the Storm scale is like where they're going to redo that mechanic for Standard.
Right, but what I'm saying, I agree, but what you can take from that is that they look at it so, like, they view it as one of the worst things they've ever done. I don't think they're going to push it in any way. In Standard, in secondary market, in anything. As much as in something like this that's meant to be out of the box to new players. It's different than a master set.
True.
Yeah. All right, DJ, you got emails for us?
Yeah.
You sound like you don't want to. You were adamant about reading.
He was so excited about doing
it's
emails.
It's email time. We're like, time to suck emails dick, I guess. Boo.
$20 patron question of the week from Eugene Sesma III. Hey, Brew Crew. Time is money, and you are men of value, so I'll get right to it. My friend and I have been trying to think of some sort of stipulation for our playgroup to follow that would allow us to have interactive and interesting games of EDH. We have tried various limitations, including removing all mana rocks that produce more mana than than it takes to cast them, so like Monolith and Soul Ring, custom commanders to build around, banning infinite combos, melding the ban list of dual and regular EDH. Right now, we are in the process of tweaking the format of Brawl to only include cards from Origins forward and keeping the 60-card deck size. These ideas don't appeal to all of our playgroup, or if they do, they have a feeling of sameness that doesn't really hit the mark of the interactive experience we're seeking. I would say our goal is to create an environment that fosters creativity and interaction. Do you guys have any experience of warping the rules to better suit a style of play that is conducive to creating interactive board states without being too linear? Any and all advice is appreciated. Thank you, Brew Crew. Set from my handcrafted redstone transmitter brought to you by Verizon Wireless.
Yes,
nice.
I have an idea.
Go ahead.
Take a precon. Everyone gets a precon. You pick whatever precon you want. You play with the precon out of the box. You play a pod. The winner gets to make 2 changes to the deck. All the losers get to make 1 change. So you're constantly creating. You're picking a target where you want the deck to end up after you make X number of changes. You're incentivized to win, so you get to make more changes and get to your desired deck faster. You're being creative because you start with a known deck, so like you want it to be playable at every step of the way, so you're not just going to completely throw away the deck out of the box and only keep like 3 or 4 cards, like I do when I buy a precon and keep 3 cards. Then that precon's $100 later, and I was like, man, I could have just bought that single card for $2. Why did I bust the deck? Anyway,
that's a great idea, to be honest, Jason.
I
got that from EDH Recast. I don't remember where they got it, but that was something they suggested.
I do like the idea. It just feels like it'd take a while, like a very long time to.
Well, that's the idea, right?
No, I get it. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, like, think about it. And you're playing with the way you could tweak it for a lot of plays, so it's not just jamming against the same decks over and over. Is everyone gets 2 precons or whatever, right? And they can switch in between them. But that's actually a really cool idea. I might pitch that to my own playgroup.
That's like that Risk game where you write on the cards or you like rip open the
Risk
cards
Legacy
and stuff
or
like
whatever.
that. Yeah. It's like Risk. You play with the same group and then like the game evolves as you continue to play. So like it's going to be miserable in the beginning, but like eventually you'll have the decks you want.
Yeah. So one of the this is something that my play group has gone through a bunch, and we have some people who fall on the really competitive. Like, overall, we're pretty competitive, but some people are on the extreme end, and some of us will, on principle, not play. Like, I won't play Mana Crypt, or some of us, won't do that, or we don't put a bunch of 2-card instant speed combos in the deck, or we don't put cards that combo with specifically our commander to win the game, because that's in my opinion, one of the unhealthiest things about Commander is if you have cards, Naru Meha and Ghostly Flicker, I think, is one of the ones that comes to mind. But basically, any card that forms a combo, Mind Over Matter or Azami, any card that forms a combo with your commander means that essentially, like, 2-card commanders are fine, or 2-card combos are fine, but it's a 2-card combo where you always have one of the pieces because it's your commander, which essentially makes it a 1-card combo. And at any point in the game, that person can just draw that 1 card off the top of their deck, and you will lose because they can just play their commander. Always. So that's one of the biggest issues we've run into, and, this is the point I'm getting to, is that we can come up with a lot of rules and a lot of deck building restrictions and all these different things to try to create the experience you want, but at some point, people just have to take some agency and choose not to play that way.
Yeah, that was going to be my suggestion, is that, like, spikes are going to spike. Even, like, you can make a budget restriction and there's still combos that are like, oh, I'll just kill you with these 2 bulk rares that happen to combo together and play Diabolic Tutors and all that stuff. Like, you can create all the weird restrictive interaction or rules you want, and gamers are going to game. Like, if all of you have that sort of mentality, I don't think that's a problem you're going to solve just by creating some artificial restriction, because then everybody in that play group with that mentality will play to maximize that restriction. So I think it's just a conversation that you need to have with your play group, and just sort of, like, have that mentality of just cooling it off on the kiki-jiki stuff and being, let's play 8 drops.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like their thing is that, they have a play group that has talked about it, and they want to do something, and they're trying to find something. I really like Jason's suggestion, actually, though. I think it's great. Those decks are not going to have... I mean, sure, the first 6 cards you add could be 3 combo pieces and 3 tutors or whatever, right? That's your point. But even that is still just a really, really long way away from having a degenerate deck. So I think you can get a lot of mileage out of that idea that Jason has while doing something pretty cool.
Sure.
And the good news is the decks come out every year.
True.
So you can try again. Yeah. All right, next email.
Oh, we're getting a multiple. This one is written in, like, that SpongeBob meme format with the capital and lowercase alternating letters. I'm not sure how you're supposed to pronounce that.
Very important that we knew that.
You do this voice.
All right. So that voice, but with Modern Horizons Econ. $10-ish patron. What is $10-ish? What does that mean, Jason?
Yeah, man.
Jason
I don't know.
No, it's not you. The guy's name is Jason.
Oh, that's
Jason Bissonette. What is $10-ish, huh?
It means you're a $5 patron, but you would consider giving us 10.
Hey crew, with the new quote modern quote set to release soon, I've been absorbing all the info I can about it, watching the announcement stream with Cassius and Nas. I had some finance consideration questions. Learning that distributor costs will be approximately $160, that puts boxes at $210-ish, which in the abstract seems high, knowing there are no modern legal reprints and no standard legality to account for prices and demand. That said, could this be a set where a lot of the price of boxes will be soaked up by commons, uncommons, or even commons, like Baleful Strix, Crop Rotation, Diabolic Edict? Diabolic Edict is not an expensive card. But who would pay a premium for these legacy staples without some really spicy cards at common and uncommon? I feel like this set could be the saviors. It's Pithing Needle or nothing with 1 or 2 chase cards. Cabal Therapist is a strictly worse Cabal Therapy, which is a $3 card. If Cabal Therapist, which Blake said was in the top 10 cards in the set, was modern legal today, it would be close to a bulk rare in the modern meta. This is the end of my email. Please discuss how cards in the set could fill out the box price without demand from standard or highly sought after reprints. Sent from my Samsung Smart Refrigerator. I'll be surprised if you read this email before the set comes out. Have you ever heard of Commander, Jason?
Hey. Whoa. I'll be surprised if you read this email before the set comes out. Well, guess what?
Have you ever heard of Commander? They happen. One of the other cards that you ignored and didn't mention is a Sarah Planeswalker, which is going to be $1 billion because people have been wanting a Sarah Planeswalker forever. So they're going to fill the set with a bunch of casual goodies that do not enter Standard and are too powerful for that format. And they're going to be great Commander stuff, like Commander designed specific cards that just go right past Standard and are too powerful for that, but just people want it for that format. So yeah,
this set is gonna be a huge deal.
I think Cabal Therapist
is gonna be something for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's just to start with here. I think Cabal Therapist is a good card. 1 mana, Menace, 1/1 black creature. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you sack a creature. You can sack a creature. When you do, choose a non-land card name. Then target player reveals their hand and discards all cards with that name. So, I mean, look, one of the issues with Thoughtseize or Inquisition and Modern is that they obviously are dead after a certain point of the game. And Cabal Therapist, while not being as good as those, in some ways, is better in a lot of ways. You know, it's just a 1/1, but sometimes that's a big deal. You know, if you're in a deck, and we're also talking about tokens decks or something that can play it. There's a lot to this card in the first place, right? And it doesn't have, you know, a restriction in the way.
And this card could improve in the context of the set, which we don't know. So you can't say. Blake said this card's in the top 10, and therefore we know it's bad because we saw it in a vacuum. I don't know about that.
Yeah. And the other point is you're going to be playing this in decks that already look at your opponent's hand, right? This is not Cabal Therapist 1 through 4 and 0 Inquisition, 0 Thoughtseize, 0 whatever else, right? This is going to be, okay, turn 1 Cabal Therapist, or turn 1 Thoughtseize or whatever, turn 2 Cabal Therapist, whatever else, go, right? Now, Cabal Therapist is very slow too. You have to make it to the next turn, etc. But again, it can be vialed in. That's pretty good against combo decks and so on. You know, Vendilion Click lets you look at a hand. There's just a lot of ways to use the card. But regardless, the point is, it is not as a horror. So you can play it next to your Thing in the Ice. But anyway, so the point is, these cards are going to be good. And one of the things is, I don't think that comparing to legacy prices as a measure of the EV of the set, I do not think that's a good way to get an estimate, because the demand for modern cards is so much higher than for legacy cards.
Yeah, and I mean, like, just focusing on the commons and uncommons too, like, every Master set has had great commons and uncommons. Like, we've gotten, Iconic had Lightning Helix, Thran Dynamo, all these insane commons and uncommons that are like $3 or $4. Masters 25 had Ravenous Chupacabra, it had Counterspell, it had Brainstorm, it had Lightning Bolt. Like, every Masters quote set has like all these great cards. So this one will have those too. But I think the biggest issue here, if you're worried about the set being valuable, is just like the Sarah levels of like, oh, here's this Commander card that we designed for this Commander type of deck, and it's going to be $8 just because Commander. Like, those new cards, there's definitely going to be a lot of cards in the set that are historic and iconic, and like, they've probably just been waiting for a spot to put them. Can't put it in a master set because they're new cards, but like the Commander-esque, like when they print new characters, like they finally made a Xantia card, they finally made a what's his name, Tawnos card. There's a lot of those characters they still haven't made, and they're just going right to the Commander people, and they'll be legal in Modern, sure, but like, that's not the point.
Right, exactly. I think we touched on this before, but that's the best way to look at it. It's not a Modern set. It's a supplementary set that happens to be legal in Modern.
Yes. Now
it's more pricey than your Conspiracy or your Battle Bonds, but there's going to be a corresponding power level increase, we hope. All right, so let's move on. Let's knock out our picks of the week.
Pick of the week. Pick of the week. Pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
Before we get out of here, I gave mine away earlier. It's Trash for Treasure. What do you guys have?
Oh, you're just double dipping.
So it really was.
You're just double dipping straight up.
Jeez.
Well, I mean, I I'll turn it. Look,
boy.
I'm not going to make an excuse, but
so
I'm just
saying.
saying.
You're going to combination. I'm
just saying I have
babysit, and therefore you need to combination pick of the week and Breaking Bulk.
Right. Jesus, sure. Man. Yeah. It's like, look, in my office, I actually had like 6 cards pulled up, and I was going to look at each one and choose which one was going to be the best. But to be honest, I put them all in the Discord anyways already. So if you're paying as little as 20 or 25 cents an episode, you've already got most of them. But one of them is Trash for Treasure. So it's just a very cheap card that is starting to come off its lows a little, and I like its future. It may be a long-term future, but I like its future.
Well, okay then. I got a pick of the week, if you guys don't mind. This is predicated on Phoenix being the deck and them not being inclined to ban anything from the Phoenix deck, and you wanting to beat it. I think even though a card like Crucible... Or no, not Crucible. What's it called? Oh my god.
My favorite meme is that Jason is too old to remember the names of cards.
It's not that I'm too old, it's just I'm so... Chalice of the Void. Starts with the C. Chalice of the Void. It was like, it's already a $50 card, but it's only a few dollars above its historic low when it got reprinted very recently, and it's very far below its historic high. So I think there's still room for this card to grow. I think this could grow another $10 or $12. Yeah, especially because it's so good against Phoenix. You just
correct. Yeah.
People are modifying their decks. Seriously, Corbin's pick last week, Simeon's Spirit Guide, is to help you play this card on 1. Like it's on turn 1.
Yeah, and this is huge in Modern and Legacy right now.
Gemstone Cavern gets played to help you play this. Like it's
the field of Chalice decks in Modern is starting to grow in a very similar way to Legacy. You know, in Legacy, Eldrazi Stompy or whatever is your premier Chalice deck, just because of how much of the format is shut off by a Chalice for 1. And Modern has never really been that way, where it's never really been as good because so much of the format either cost mana or was delved or whatever. But with this Izzet Phoenix deck, the Grixis Death Shadow deck, and then however many other decks, you know, you're just a ton of decks in the format are just completely shut off by Chalice of the Void for 1. And that's why you're seeing Eldrazi Stompy, colorless Eldrazi Stompy, playing Simeon Spirit Guides as their Ancient Tombs, essentially. And they've been doing well. And Mono Red Prison sounds like a joke, but it's a real archetype in both Legacy and now Modern.
Because you have the Spirit Guides for the turn 1 Chalice, and you have the Blood Moon, and even the Vegas, and the
Planeswalker, right? And the Planeswalkers are just good. Like, I've actually played a fair amount of these Red Prison decks, and so many decks either just do not beat Ensnaring Bridge, they just can't beat that card out of your deck, or they can't beat Chalice, or they can't beat Blood Moon. And you just get to play all of these things in this mono red shell. But even when you don't just even when the cards are just fine, but not great, sometimes you just play like a Rabble Master or whatever on turn 3 and go off with that. And they boarded out their removal because they boarded in all their artifact hate. Or you just play a Chandra or whatever and just kill their own creature. And then what are they going to do, right? Like, these decks are actually a real thing in Modern now. So I love this Chalice of the Void pick.
And people want Chalices aren't going to buy 1 Chalice, so... You know, I typically do EDH picks, but these are going out 4 at a time, so... It's only a few dollars above its historic low, and it's far below its historic high, so I think that since we know it's not getting printed in Modern Horizons, the reprint risk is low for like the next 6 to 9 months. So I think
DJ, what do you got?
Ham on these.
I have a brain bite coming out this week where I made our intern eat a spicy chip because he lost a bet because he made a really dumb decision. He thought that Stoneforge was getting unbanned a few weeks ago. That didn't happen. But we had a brain bite conversation while he was eating the spicy chip, while I was enjoying his suffering. And he made a decent argument for Green Sun Zenith getting unbanned. I think that mid-range green decks are at a all-time low, and I think that Green Sun Zenith could be a card that is used to put those cards back in the format. There is a pretty high risk of this card doing really dumb stuff with Primeval Titan.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have always been a fan of buying banned cards at their low because there is generally a steady creep upward from commander demand in addition to you just hedge your bets with like a 1% chance on just like, Oh,
rich.
if I want to play this deck in the future, spend $20 and get your twins.
You know how much money I make on Stoneforge every year? Because it's never
so
getting unbanned, but it's always going to go up on hype.
These people, they never learn. Intern, come
You know why they don't learn?
on.
You know why they don't learn? Because they bought Bloodbraid Elves, or they bought Bitter Blossoms, and it worked out.
It's just, I get it. It's fine. It's people want to play that
You
game.
make money either you make a little bit of money, or you make a lot of money and look like a genius.
Yeah.
Like there's actually no downside.
Yeah, and I was actually buying I was actually buying cards for somebody this past weekend, and I was having the whole small talk conversation thing, just pulling cards out of their binder, all that stuff. And I pulled out some Splinter Twins, and I said, yeah, there's a 0% chance this card's getting unbanned. I don't really have strong opinions either way, but I'll just say it. I was like, yeah, there's a 0% chance this card's getting unbanned. And then the person who I was buying from made a really, really good one-liner, and they said, yeah, but there's a 100% chance that people will think it will get unbanned, and they pulled the card back because they didn't want to sell it.
Now, DJ, you got out-nickeled there, man.
What do you mean I got out-nickeled?
I mean, we're here talking about 1% chances, and that guy, I mean, he crushed you, man. You were trying to make small talk, and that dude came in with the zingers.
You got hammered, dog. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, dude, I'm surprised you didn't just pack it up and head home.
Sure.
Pack up all your cards,
DJ,
go home, and
was
lick
just
your
not-
wounds. Yeah, man. You just got embarrassed.
Okay.
I love trolling DJ. His reactions are perfect.
If you say so.
Yeah, I mean, anyways, you're right. From a financial, like I could sit here and we could all have lots of strong, opinions and arguments over the cards themselves. But you're absolutely right from a financial standpoint. You should buy them. You should not buy them near the unbanning announcement every year or whatever in front of the Modern Pro Tour, but you should buy them after that.
Yeah. So, I mean,
buy them a month or two from now or whatever.
There are a lot of cards on the Modern ban list that people have strong opinions out all across the spectrum, and it is a great idea to buy a lot of these cards at their low, because there are some that are, like, universally everybody agrees this is way too good, never going to happen, right? Like Chrome Box, like Rite of Flame. There's some that are just like, nope, not going to happen. Skull Clamp, nope, we're all good on that, we all agree. But then there's a lot of cards that are just like, this very heated debate, like Green Sun Zenith, like Punishing Fire, like Stoneforge Mystic, and maybe Wizards does a lot of internal testing, and maybe one day they're like, no, Green Sun's fine. So I mean, that's my pick.
Here's a conspiracy theory. What we know about Modern Horizons is not that it has no cards from.
No, I know it could have a banned card and put it back in Modern.
It could have a banned card, and then they unban it. That's your conspiracy theory. All right.
It's not really a conspiracy if one company does it. That's just a theory, right?
I think the conspiracy part of it is that they are like, hint, hint.
With
wink,
whom
nudge.
are they conspiring?
With us, man. They
okay.
Look.
Oh, yeah,
remember? Look, dude. Aaron Forsyth came on this podcast and dropped hints, and then he later said, "Yeah, I dropped hints. They were there for people to hear." I'm just saying. All right.
Clues.
Anything else you guys want to touch on this week before we get out of here?
Corbin got brainwashed by American Airlines, and it was really sad.
I believe that's a...
Like, not even 2 months ago, he's like, never flying them again, changing my status, and then he walks out of fucking room 101, and he's like, Big Brother, like, saluting and all. It's...
I really think that this is... I'm not sure what exactly, but I'll say ist of you, some sort of ist, because, man, it's really kind of messed up to use the term brainwashing instead of the proper medical terminology, please.
It's gaslighting.
It is called Stockholm Syndrome, sir. Okay? I need help, not ridicule.
That's true. No one's ever been shamed out of Stockholm Syndrome.
I don't actually know if that was sarcasm or not.
No, it's true. You watch Beauty and the Beast, and she married her captor. And you're like, damn.
Yeah, exactly. See? There you go.
This is teaching my daughter all the wrong stuff.
Well, you can't. Disney movies in general will do that, right?
Yeah, she's not watching anything older than Moana.
But yeah, I gotta go because I've got to get him dressed and get out of here. So, peace out.
All right, that's Brainstorm Brewery, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. Have yourselves a
we
great
didn't
week.
We didn't sign off.
Yeah, we gotta sign off.
We just moved right into the after hours. So.
Yeah, that's what happens when I drink a beer at 4 in the afternoon.
Where you at?
We signing off now?
Do you want to go to the park?
Do it. Do a sign off. Come on.
Okay, I will. All right, everybody. That's Brainstorm Brewery. Thank you for listening. Come back next week when we find out what is in the mysterious envelope that I got sent on Discord.